Continuing to follow a distemper outbreak at the Midland Animal Shelter. The illness forcing the city to deep clean its facility, an action that usually requires all of the dogs to be euthanized. But this time they partnered with Fix West Texas to put them with foster families to avoid putting them down. A decision that's been met with both praise and criticism. Sydney Jolivet sat down with Fix West Texas to get their side of the story.
We didn't want to see that many animals die, and we just wanted to know if there was a better way out of this.
Distemper is a deadly illness for dogs without the vaccine. Luckily, the Midland Animal Shelter does vaccinate for distemper.
So they're no longer contagious. Just because they are scoring on a PCR test does not mean they're contagious.
So the city of Midland and Fix West Texas came to an agreement to get as many dogs out of the shelter as possible. And not one dog was lost, but not without some precautions in place.
Every foster was required to sign an agreement that, number one, that they attested to the fact that their pets were fully vaccinated, and number two, that they would not bring the pet into a public space until the pet had totally been cleared.
Along with the signed agreement, Fix West Texas told the foster families what to do, not do, and what to look out for, both physically and emotionally.
We provide the handouts that tell them everything they need to know. So it's simply keeping them in their home, feeding them, watering them, loving them. And probably loving them is probably the number one most important thing. And every person that fostered a dog definitely has love for these animals.
And before any dog was fostered out, its health was evaluated.
All of these dogs were actually vaccinated at intake. So the outbreak, the symptoms and such that we're seeing are considered more of the mild scale.
The dogs continue to be tested for distemper, which uses a scale system.
The science said, number one, anybody in the high range should be euthanized. And number two, all those animals should be kept in the shelter and not fostered out. The new science is get them into homes since they've already been fully vaccinated. They've already been tested, and most of them have already peaked and are on the downhill slope.
Past the peak of the illness and hopefully on their way to a loving forever home. This was all made possible by a community who cares.
It wasn't just Fix West Texas. All we did is ask. It was every single person, everyday Joe that showed up to save these animals. And what that spoke to our city leaders is that animals are important to our community, and our community members don't want to see them die.
Reporting in Midland, I'm Sydney Jolivet for News West 9.